Is it possible the Rams would trade Matthew Stafford for a top 15 pick? Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, the February 25th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right. Happy to be here. I'm Joe Tarosian. You can check us out on Spotify at From the RamCave. Got that at the top there. Also, check out what we're writing there at Mid-Valley Sports. I'm not one of the leaders or the managers at Mid-Valley Sports anymore, but I am contributing over there. You check out Ram Notes, sometimes written by me, sometimes written by the great Tim Burns. Happy to be here today. Yesterday, had all kinds of problems technologically, and then you can see I'm in a button-down shirt. I'm not in my comfortable short-sleeve Hawaiian-looking stuff or even my Rams gear. A lot of business meetings. My day job, I pastor a small church, and I'm on a credentials committee, and so my job is to stop future heretics of America. So I've been in those kind of meetings. Okay, so feel like I haven't been on since Friday. So here we go. Let's talk about some Ram stuff. It broke over the weekend that it's all that Matthew Stafford wants is 50 to 55 rocks annually. If Matthew Stafford wants 50 to 55 rocks annually, then the problem is the Rams. The Rams are the problem, and it's really insane. He's been working under market, below market his whole time here, has not held us hostage for anything else, but now it's time. As everything is rising, the salary cap levels keep going up. The pay for quarterbacks is a starting quarterback who's successful in the NFL or presumed to be successful is 50 rocks and upward, and you got absolute stiffs in comparison to Matthew Stafford, like Tua, Dak Prescott, making so much more than him. Brock Purdy, with his net contract, if he gets what he wants, is going to make more than Matthew Stafford, and these two don't have one of these. Well, just pretend it's a ring, and so yeah, it's. I don't understand why the Rams are playing it cheap. Do they have doubts about his health? Give him 2 years, 110. Guarantee it. It's going up. He's already been a break. You've got 39 rocks of cap space. You can get rid of Cooper Kupp, but you can't get rid of Matthew Stafford and expect to compete. It's the price of doing business in the NFL. Heck, if Matthew Stafford wants 60 rocks, you give it to him, all right? You give it to him because that is the going rate for a Super Bowl Hall of Fame winning quarterback going forward. So I'm loath to say that if Matthew Stafford leaves, it's on the Rams. It's really going to be on the Rams, and it'll probably be the worst decision they will have made since returning to Los Angeles. It will be the worst. And I don't think it's wrong of Stafford to want that. If Stafford was asking for 70 mil, I don't know what he was asking for. But if it was 70 mil, okay, you got a problem. The only way it gets a little bit funky on the Rams' behalf is if the New York Giants are stupid enough to give you the third overall pick in this year's draft, then then you got to consider making that deal. I understand it. That makes sense. The third overall pick, where you might have an opportunity to grab your quarterback of the future, you need to make that pick. You need to make that. And if worse is worse, you could trade back a couple slots and go with Jimmy G this year and really load up this roster for the next, going into 2030 probably. So with that said, stuff I wanted to talk about yesterday, couldn't get into it. They talked about the Rams have rounded out their coaching staff. Counting McVay, there's 23 people on this coaching staff, and 22 of them are working under McVay. And what I was looking at that was, you look at the longtime members of the staff, Chris Shula, Aubrey Pleasant, who left and came back, Zach Cromer and Eric Yarber, probably the most underrated of all the staff members. And that's about what, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys who've got about 9 years of experience working with the Rams. Okay. And then you've got 22 staff members total working under McVay. 11 of them are in their first or second year. The great Tim Burns brings up this a lot. He hates seeing our staff pilfered every year. But this has been going on since McVay's first season in 2017. Here's another interesting thing. 11 of them are first or second year, okay? 15 of them are in their third year or less on this Rams coaching staff. And again, it speaks to who McVay hires. It also speaks to the success that his hires have had later, because people know, if I come to LA, I'm going to get a shot in this league. Even Raheem Morris got a second shot with, I don't think Raheem's a great HC. We'll see. But he got a second shot. And so a lot of guys are still doing business in this league because they worked for Sean McVay. And of course, the new hot commodity that, everyone's talking about now, I'd seen the name, but, one person broke the story. I don't know if it was Ella Bogan or somebody else. Good for them. But now everybody is acting like they've known about Nate Scheelhaas for 10 years, right? And he's the new hot coordinator. But I feel good about, you hate seeing the staff get poached, but this is just shows the sign of the decisions the Rams made and what they're doing. Hey guys, I see the questions piling in. I do appreciate that. Let me get through some of this stuff here real quick, and I'll go pick them up. In fact, let me just get through this one. Looking around what the buzz is, because there's a whole list of NFL players, name players, that are being listed as potential cap casualties. Looking in various places, the two that are being listed for the Rams are Jonah Jackson and Darius Williams. Jonah Jackson, I understand. Jonah Jackson being a potential cap casualty. Darius Williams, on the other hand, I think would be really foolish unless you got somebody top notch. Darius Williams played very well for the Rams. All right. Is he an all-pro corner? No. Is his future long? No. He's 31 going on 32, but he played well for the Rams. He's got his limitations, but you don't want to thin out the cornerback room. Whereas the offensive line has some depth it's developing, and you can maybe afford to lose Jonah Jackson and then replace him in the draft. But I thought that was interesting. If you've seen any other names, Cooper Kupp's a big name, so we know what that is. He could possibly end up being cut, but we understand that one. But some of the other names, Jonah Jackson, Darius Williams, I say yes to Jonah Jackson. I can see it happening. Darius Williams would be a real bad move, I think, to cut. All right, so let's see what we got here. Mr. Burns, Mr. Ramirez, Mr. Bowen, Brian Smith, and thanks, guys, for clicking on. All right. Tim Burns, what is the purpose of missing the combine? Someone could point out stuff, see stuff. They should be there. I would agree with you, Mr. Burns, if the Rams had whiffed in their last 2 or 3 drafts, but they haven't whiffed. They've hit home runs. And I think it's part of the Rams chess match. I do. I think it's part of, they know who they want. They've seen it on film, and they don't want me to tip anybody off. Maybe it's to that level of cloak and dagger, a little bit of George Allen stuff there. I would complain, but look at the Rams, particularly the last 2 drafts. They've been absolutely out of the yard, and so that's just how they do business. Let's see. Hi, Bowen. Hi, Joe. Cup to the Chargers for Josh Palmer. I would say Chargers can. I like Josh Palmer. I've let this know to the guys at Mid-Valley Sports, Peterson and Barker, my friends that run Mid-Valley Sports. I've told them I like Josh Palmer. Can't stay healthy, and I'd much rather have a 6th-round pick if that's all you're going to get. I'd like a 4th-round pick, but if all you're going to get is a 6th-round pick or Josh Palmer, I'd rather have the 6th-round pick, because I've seen what the Rams can do with a 5th-round, 6th-round, and 7th-round pick. Tim Burns, Sports Illustrated dropped an hour ago stating Rodgers wants to come to LA and bring Devontae Adams with him. Isn't that just someone else staying at somebody else's house, having a party, messing up the house, using the record player to hold their pizza, putting out their cigarettes on the carpet, and they mess up somebody else's house, and now they want to come to your house, right? And I'm not for Aaron Rodgers. If Stafford leaves, I want Jimmy G instead of Aaron Rodgers. And then I have no problem with Davante Adams. My issue would be, could the Rams keep Stafford and get Davante Adams, right? And Davante Adams, he's made his bread, and he might want to say, I need a ring. And I think Matthew Stafford and the Rams can get me that ring, pairing me up with Puka and Jordan Whittington. How does that sound? How does it sound to have a trio of receivers, Whittington, Adams, and Nakua? Huh? And if Nakua was to go down, which I think you got to keep your eye on him for that because of his style of play, Adams is more than capable of being that number one guy, right? Boom, oh, bop, shabam. Let's do that one right there. Tim Burns, what is the true loss of a director of scouting strategy in Gladstone? We have done really good of late. You know, people were saying when Brad Holmes left after 2020 that this was really going to affect the Rams. And you could see how good Brad Holmes is, right? You see how good he is because you've seen what's happened in Detroit. The kid, Gladstone, that's just gone to Jacksonville, you know, he's the wonder kid. Was he 34? He might be that kid. It's so interesting. You watch Draft Day with Kevin Costner. I just rewatched it because I like that scene where he tells him, you know, accept the deal, you pancake eating mother, whatever. And the kid is the young GM in Jacksonville, and there's a young GM in Jacksonville in that movie. This is, again, until we see different, this is Rams stock. This is Rams development. And I don't think Brad Holmes or maybe this Gladstone kid develops without Les Snead, right? And so I think the Rams will just replenish. Imagine this. They're hiring the best of the best because everyone wants to work in this organization right now. And they know there's opportunity for them in the future if they work in this organization. And so I think Gladstone's going to do well. I hope he does. And then I think the Rams will find a way and they'll move forward. I would be real surprised if they did it. Steve Ramirez, would you take 34 and the Giants 2026 number one, which could be a top 10 pick? That means to me, no, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I want now, Steve. I want now. I don't want later because my defense is ready to win right now. It's ready to win right now, and I got to get players now that are ready to go. I'd much rather stay at 26, and if I have to trade back, but I wouldn't give up Stafford in that deal without – I want – you know, there's a projection here that Stafford would fetch a top 15 pick. Someone put that. Turf Show Times, Ellenbogen, Ramblin' Fan. I saw it in a link. I didn't click on – but I saw that they're projecting that Stafford would fetch a top 15 pick. I want a top 10 pick for Stafford. And so I wouldn't make that deal. That's just me. What's your opinion on Andy Van Pelt? Is it Alex Van Pelt? I thought it was Alex Van Pelt. Yeah, I think good for him, right? Comes in, gets a sabbatical season where he comes in and is just kind of consulting with the Rams, learning things, and then he becomes a commodity next year, right? Or maybe the LaFleur brother takes a job somewhere and he moves into that position. I got to believe after this long, I don't know, is Alex Van Pelt a HC candidate? Because he's been around for kind of a while. Let's see here. Brian Smith, did the Eagles officially decline Trump's White House visit invitation? You know, I heard both sides. I heard they said no, but then I heard that from the other side that, well, we hadn't officially extended an invitation. You know, at this point with our athletes, I don't care. I can understand if you're disagreeing. I know it's going to sound really weird from me, but if you're disagreeing with somebody's worldview is and how they're doing business, I wouldn't want to stand next to them. You know, because that's how politicized we are. And you can't keep it separate. If there's an ability to keep it separate, then great. I think you should do it. Who doesn't want to go to the White House, right? I'd want to go, right? No one's invited me. Gump got to go 3 times. I haven't gone once. Oh, I stood outside the gate, reached my hand in through the fence and stole some grass. Not the Michoacan grass, but the just actual turf. And I put it in a baggie to say I was at the White House. And then I lost it on the way home. But yeah, I would go. And the thing is, your fans want to see you go. Fans want to see their team there, right? One of the most iconic moments in history for me in sports. In fact, I even used it in my book called Game Day in the RamCave. Is nothing is greater than hearing Ronald Reagan cry out, "Where's Ricky Sanders?" And Sanders comes running across, and Reagan throws him a pass, not bad for a 75-year-old dude. It was awesome, and but no one can keep it clean and straight anymore. So who cares at this point? I think it's the Eagles' loss, not necessarily Trump's loss. Steve Ramirez, Tim, throwing or competing at the combine can only hurt a projected top 10 pick. Those players should always just say, look at the tape. Yeah, I understand why the quarterbacks, someone tried to give heat to Shedeur Sanders. There's other things to give Shedeur Sanders heat about, but not that, because he's already put it all on tape, and then he's throwing to unfamiliar receivers, unfamiliar plays. Have your pro day. I don't have a problem with that one. Tim Burns, this may be offensive, but Raheem was overrated as a DC. Just never had feels for him. He was better later, not great. I thought he got off to a slow start, and then he picked it up. And I thought the back half of 2001, that defense just really shut things down. It was great. And of course, we had the talent. I thought in 2022, I was really disappointed with the soft coverage. And then he picked it up last year, 2023. So fairly, he got a shot. And I hope it works out for him. I mean, after all, the Rams got 2 third-round picks for him, so cool, and such. But I think he was okay as a DC. But all these DCs, everyone's playing the Fangio, shell on top. But you gotta, as you saw with Shula last year, and I think Staley did it in his time with the Rams, you gotta modify it. You gotta change it up a little bit. So I'm not out completely on Raheem. Okay, Brian saying hi to Willie. Willie's saying hi to Brian. Brian saying hit the like button. Okay, yeah, that's a good call. Tim Burns, good point, Steve. Joe, did the Rams skip the last 2 draft combines as well? I think they have, at least last year's, I know, and I think the year before. I think they did. And of course, 2 years ago, we were drafting Logan Bruss at number 104. There was no one at that draft, at that combine, really, that was going to be super, pop on the radar that the Rams were going to be able to get their hands on. So I think they did. Let's see here. Bill, Rams signed Alex Van Pelt. He was Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach. Could mean something. It could or it couldn't, right? It could or it couldn't. Again, Sean McVay is the good doctor. Some people go to Jose Cuervo. Some people go to Dr. Phil. Sean McVay is the NFL's good doctor. And he's the guy that rehabilitates and creates new careers for quarterbacks and coaches. And so I don't want to read too much into that. I'm going to be really disappointed that would be the first step. Can you imagine you bring in Rodgers' buddy who's a coach, and then you bring in Rodgers' buddy who's his receiver, and next thing you know, you're being leveraged by Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, that would be a real bad look for the Rams, I think. Steve Ramirez, the one problem I fear about Rodgers is he doesn't seem willing to wait for a receiver to clear and not willing to take the hit to complete the pass. Yeah, and I agree with you, Steve. On another aspect of that too is, the big time throws, right? BTT, even Pro Football Focus has that as a stat, as an analytic. And we know, you've seen Stafford. Stafford will make those risky throws. As time has gone on with Rodgers to me is all about the safe throw. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. And I think you need to move beyond that. Brian Smith, the Rams have already addressed why they don't go to the combine. They addressed it 2 years ago. They aren't the only team doing it. Bingo. Okay, Tim Burns, enough race and politics killing tradition. One anthem doesn't mean racism. Okay. Steve Ramirez, Reagan was the GIP. There we go. Tim Burns, Shedeur needs to work on his deep ball accuracy. I know people are starting to compare him to Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's better than Teddy Bridgewater. My problem with Shedeur Sanders is just adversity. Just has he faced adversity where the name Sanders or his dad hasn't bailed him out? His dad was his OC in high school. His dad was his head coach at Jackson State. His dad was his head coach in Colorado. I need to see how he is away from home. We do this with pastors, believe it or not. Youth pastor is the son of the senior pastor in a church, and that kid wants to stay at that church and grow, and the encouragement when I have to talk to them, it's like, bro, you need to move on. You need to develop yourself beyond your father. And I think that works the same for football. ESG, the Giants hired Matthew Stafford's brother-in-law, has some time of coach, not sure what position. I just think it would be a crazy move for Stafford to want to go to New York. If they're willing to give up their third overall to the Rams have to think about it. But then again, where would Stafford want to go if the Rams won't cough up 50 to 55 rocks for him? What game are you playing here, Stan? Let's get Stan on the phone. Stan, what game are you playing with Matthew Stafford? Give the dude his bread. Send. Okay. We'll see if Kroenke answers back. All right. Let's see. Brian Smith, Snead thinks the Senior Bowl is more important than the Combine. That's his reasoning for not going. Yeah, if over the years, the first one that pointed this out to me was the guy who did Locked On Rams before Travis Rogers, and then Doug McCain came in with him. It was a guy named Sosa Cremenges. Are you guys familiar with Sosa? Sosa, I liked Sosa when he did it because he was business, man. It wasn't stuff. He just brought information, and he was the first one that pointed out that I noticed, and I'm willing to say it, that he said, look at the Rams at that time, late 2000 teens, the 17, 18, 19, 20. And he would talk about how the Rams loved Senior Bowl things. And so one of the things I've done ever since is, if there's some guy that's on the Rams draft radar, I'll look to see, did he play in the Senior Bowl? Did he play in the Senior Bowl? That's a good call, Brian. Willie Bowen, Joe, what's the status of Stetson Bennett? Stetson Bennett is a guy, right? Is a guy. And I don't know. Let's just say Stafford stays. And if the Rams actually let Jimmy G walk and they don't give him his market value of $3 million, maybe because somebody else comes in and offers him more, maybe the rebuilt Raiders come back and say, under Pete Carroll, which is going to have a stronger running game, maybe Jimmy G fits now with the Raiders. Maybe he's a good fit to go back to Las Vegas. With that said, I don't know. You think Stetson Bennett's the guy? I think the Rams took their shot with Stetson. They moved up in the fourth round to get him. And, if there was something popping, I think we would have heard something. Could he be a Ty Detmer? Could he be a Chase Daniel? Could he be somebody that floats around the NFL for a while? Yeah. But in your heart of hearts, I just don't see him as somebody going forward. Let's see. Tim Burns, I'm calling it conspiracy juju. Shador gets drafted. Dion joins the staff, sneaks the HC job within 2 years. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. It's just a bad look, I think. Bad look for the Sanders. ESG, I think Stafford should prioritize health over money. I think he does. I think it's a thing that all the athletes, and I guess I can't really speak to it because I haven't made that kind of bread. But it's about just feeling respected and appreciated, right? Like, you do value me as a great quarterback, right? And I think it could be an issue. I think we're dealing with a pride thing here, but they really need to give him his dough. They need to. Okay. Yeah. Steve Ramirez, I heard Yoko Stafford wants to live in New York. I don't want to say anything because I'm married, so I'm going to be real careful about that. Okay, let's see. Tim Burns, no one wants to live in NYC. Yeah, they cost you like $10 just to drive in there now, don't they? Brian Smith, those were Snead's words. Senior Bowl, Combine, not mine. ESG, because Sosa said so. So ESG, you know who Sosa is. Good for you. Tim Burns, Stetson Bennett is Otto, the automatic pilot in airplane, inflatable or real. Be careful mentioning Otto because he gets a moment with Julie Haggerty that we shouldn't talk about. Robert Steeler fan Rob Pickens for Stafford straight up. Yeah. You got to sweeten the deal a little bit more than that. Brian Smith, Bennett is McVay's John Wolford. Okay. Wolford did give us one good game. He did give us one good game. Tim Burns, Steeler fan Rob, is smoking crack again. Okay. Boy, that was a long question section, guys. Keep throwing them in there. Couple things here. Oh, speaking of dumb things. So everyone's searching for desperate dead period material because this is the 25th. I think they actually start hitting the field at the combine on Thursday, and it goes through the weekend. So there's not a lot to talk about. Free agency period doesn't start until the start of the new league year, March 10th, and then it officially starts March 12th. So everyone's looking for stuff right now. And I saw this one on a site, and I don't want to embarrass the guy. It was really one of the dumbest things I saw this week. It came out over the weekend. Was a speculation story linking Alaric Jackson to the New York Giants, saying they got money to
That is incredibly jejune.
Yeah, Alaric Jackson plays left tackle. And the Giants, their one good player is left tackle Andrew Thomas, who they recently signed to a 5-year, 117 rock deal with $67 million of it guaranteed.
That is incredibly jejune.
So Alaric Jackson, after establishing himself as one of the top 10 left tackles in the NFL, he's going to say, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go to a team that's going to move me to right tackle. Do you really think after, Andrew Thomas had a foot injury this year, do you really think they're going to move off Andrew Thomas when they owe him that kind of money and just give a deal to Alaric Jackson? That is absolutely insane. Or actually, how they would say,
that is incredibly jejune.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. And sometimes you look at these stories, you should mark down who the writers are so you can kind of go, man, what are we doing here? That's why your opinions carry weight. Don't let anybody high road you because you don't work for a website or you don't do a podcast or you don't do any of these things. Don't let anybody high road you and say that your critique or your observation is invalid because they sit in the press box. And some of the laziest people, and Steve will tell you, some of the laziest people we know sat in press boxes and they had exposure. They work for the networks and they just don't do their homework. Alaric Jackson to the Giants. I got a serious mea culpa coming if that's what happens. Maybe I'll wear a 49er jersey doing RamView if that happens because Alaric Jackson, left tackle, is going to go to a team that already has a left tackle that they're paying 117 rocks to. Help me, please. Somebody help me. I'm Joe Terozzi, sports writer for 21 years, maybe a little bit longer now. Go to Mid-Valley Sports. Check us out there and check out our sponsors at Kistler Law. And we appreciate their support. By their support and you guys buying my books are on Amazon. Check out Tangent Dreams, Game Day in the RamCave. Check those books out. Help support us. Keeps me employed in my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene. And we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, burbankfaithvirtual.com, and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And it's your support that keeps us doing this. We don't have a paywall or a Patreon account because I don't have Patreon account material. At least I don't think I do. All right. So thank you guys for your support and your encouragement. Be sure to hit like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to check out midvalleysports.com. We're doing briefs on bolt action for the Chargers. We're doing autumn wins for the Raiders, and we're looking for a 49er writer. And I'm doing Ram notes. And sometimes Mr. Burns is submitting his stuff to me, and he's doing Ram notes as well. So you can check us out there. Also, we got some baseball stuff there as well. You can check that out. And then local high school sports. So check us out. Around the NFL and other places, I thought this was interesting. The Bills signed wide receiver Khalil Shakir, their slot guy, to a 4-year deal worth up to $60 million. That's about 15 rocks a year. I don't know how much it was guaranteed. Shakir was initially a 5th-round pick in 2022 out of Boise State. Good for him. Good for the Bills. This is why the Bills continue to be relevant, right? I think if anything destroys the Bills, it's just going to be mental instead of physical because they keep picking up players. They got James Cook. They keep doing things. Dalton Kincaid. They keep doing these things. And so, Rams know what a 5th rounder can do. And Shakir just got his 2nd deal. So good for him. A lot of talk about the NFL possibly banning the tush push. I'm not in favor of banning it. I think NFL defenses need to figure it out. And I also think I got an answer for the tush push. Jump the hit. Jump it. Not maybe you can't do it continually at the goal line, but somewhere early on, we used to play that game where you can the center. Remember playing ball in the yard or in the lot or after school, and somebody said, can the center. Before the ball snapped, just put a hurt on the guards, the center, make them pay So a couple times. So they're not so eager to go into the tush push anymore, right? Maybe that rectifies it. Also, I don't know if the tush push is really something that's going to overtake football. It's Jalen Hurts. What does the guy squat? 10,000 pounds? I mean, not everybody can do it, right? You saw Josh Allen get stopped in the AFC Championship game. Names to keep an eye on has possible cap casualties. Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews. I don't know if the Rams would have any interest in him. Joey Bosa. I have no interest in Joey Bosa. I always thought he was overpaid. I'd love to see him to go to 49ers for a whole lot of money. Von Miller is out there. It could be out there. I'm sorry. They're not cut yet. Christian Kirk. Braden Smith, right tackle with the Colts. That one intrigued me a little bit because I think we could be coming to an end with Rob Havenstein. Former Ram John Franklin Myers, defensive end. He was on the 2018 team. He got significant snaps, then he got cut the following year. I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't know if the Rams thought they could slip him through waivers or something, but he's had a productive career, largely with the Jets. Dalvin Tomlinson, he's a toilet clogger with the Browns. We talked about him at the trade deadline last year. Marshawn Lattimore, I don't know how much Lattimore has in the tank. I thought he got torched pretty bad in the playoffs, but the Redskins could be moving on from him. Derek Carr can be somebody. Wouldn't it be hilarious if the Rams traded Matthew Stafford and Derek Carr came to LA? No, please not. Tyler Lockett. I think the Rams need another receiver. I don't know if Tyler Lockett's that guy. And the two Bears inside linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. Again, Rams just don't put money into that department. All right, the franchise tag season is open. It lasts until March 4th. Combine starts this week. New league season starts March 12th. You can start tampering March 10th. And of course, the draft is April 24th through the 26th. Looking at a couple of things here. A lot of stuff. I talked about this at the top of the show. Some site, I don't know who it was, said the Rams will fetch a top 15 pick for Matthew Stafford if they decide to trade him. These are the top 15 teams that are drafting this year. Okay, these are the first 15 picks. Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jaguars, Raiders, Jets, Panthers, Saints, Bears, 49ers, Cowboys, Dolphins, Colts, and Falcons. They got the first 15 picks. Titans need a quarterback, but every time you see a draft, what would we call it? A mock draft, it always has them going to Abdul Carter. Browns need a quarterback. Giants need a quarterback. Patriots at number 4 have Drake May. So Matthew Stafford's not going to the Patriots. Jaguars, they have Trevor Lawrence. That's why Liam Cohen went there. They're not doing that. Raiders need a quarterback at 6. A lot of mock drafts have Shedeur Sanders, whether he likes it or not, falling to number 6. Jets need a quarterback at number 7. And then after that, the Panthers have 8. They got Bryce Young. Saints, they're in cap hell. They're not going to go after Matthew Stafford right now. And they still got issues with Derek Carr. They're going to keep him or whatever. So they're not going to go to Matthew Stafford. Bears have Caleb Williams. 49ers still have Brock Purdy. Cowboys are given $89 million cap hit to Dak Prescott this year. Dolphins are overpaying Tua. Colts have Anthony Richardson. And I don't know where they're at. They should be more in the mix thinking Matthew Stafford, but I don't know. Where are they at with Anthony Richardson? And then the Falcons got Michael Penix. So saying the Rams are going to get a top 15 pick for Matthew Stafford, it's kind of a reach because it's just a question of the numbers game. Who needs the quarterback? 5 of these teams are in desperate need. 2 of them will settle on Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. So there's going to be 3. And like I said, most mock drafts show Abdul Carter going to the Titans with number 1. So it's down to 2 teams that may have a need for Matthew Stafford. Just interesting to see how it play out. So who wants to trade really a top 15 pick for Matthew Stafford? I ran it through a simulator, and the closest I got to a team wanting or willing to give a number 1 straight up for Stafford was the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was not the Steelers themselves. It was the simulator at number 21. And there was a 46% chance of the trade being accepted. I offered the trade, and I was rejected. So that's why if the Giants really want to offer the 3rd overall pick for Matthew Stafford, I think you take it. Just wanted to get that out there. Let me run through this real quick here, guys, and I'll get back to any questions you may have. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. What I didn't talk about yesterday was Mel Kiper's ESPN 2.0. Number 26, Rams taking Josh Connerly, tackle, Oregon. And then CBS Sports today, their mock draft, number 26, have the Rams taking Josh Simmons. This is like the 6th or 7th time Josh Simmons has been projected to the Rams. Both Josh Simmons and Josh Connerly, everyone seems to have them going to the Rams. So what I'm thinking is, as these guys are doing their mock drafts, they're not considering Matthew Stafford being gone. They're considering Alaric Jackson being gone and the Rams taking a tackle. Donovan Jackson's a left tackle, Donovan Jackson's a left guard, who moved to left tackle after Josh Simmons got hurt, who is a left tackle. Connerly is a left tackle for Oregon, but he's strictly a left tackle. That's all he is. He has no snaps at the other spot at right tackle. And so you just got to, when you look and see when they're doing this, they're not projecting Matthew Stafford, because if Stafford goes, you're doing something creative with number 26. You absolutely are. And it would be how bad would it look for the Rams to not only trade Stafford, but to lose Alaric Jackson? That would just be brutal. That would be absolutely brutal. All right, let's get through this here. It was a stone groove, my man. It was a stone groove. Okay, February 25th, 1998, Rams signed Ricky Proehl as a wide receiver. He played with the Rams for 5 years, 207 catches, 16 touchdowns, 1998 through 2002. And think about this with Ricky Proehl. How great was the Rams offense? Number 1 receiver was Isaac Bruce, then Torrey Holt. Okay. Then you had Azir Akeem, right? That was the blazer and the burner. And then you got Ricky Proehl. And this guy in 5 years is averaging 50 catches a season. And of course, he made the catch that put us in the Super Bowl. That guy had a heck of a career. He needs to be re-looked at. I think he should get a look from some Veterans Committee down the road. On this day in 2009, Rams released Trent Green. I think people forget we brought Trent Green back. Let's see. And then tomorrow we're not on the air. And it's a couple of birthdays. Tomorrow, Marshall Faulk turns 52. As time has gone on, I'm a big Steven Jackson fan. Lawrence McCutcheon guy, Eric Dickerson, Wendell Tyler. But as far as the complete back, when they have all those conversations about complete backs, I don't know if any of them were as complete as Marshall Faulk, because he had the home run speed, he blocked, he caught the ball. Eric Dickerson really didn't get that opportunity as much. But man, Marshall Faulk has just risen in estimation in retrospect for me, and he turns 52 tomorrow. Also, it would be his 75th birthday. Jim Bertelsen, who passed away in 2021, he would be 75 tomorrow. Jim Bertelsen was Ram running back in 72 through 76. He was paired with McCutcheon in 73, had a Pro Bowl year. They went to the Pro Bowl. McCutcheon ran for 1,097. Bertelsen ran for 854. I think he caught something like 39 passes or 29 passes that year, somewhere in there. And he had a great year. Of course, knee injuries let him, people forget. But he had really good speed. Here's the interesting thing about Jim Bertelsen. In 1971, the Chargers traded Dickie Post. Anyone remember Dickie Post with the Chargers? They traded him to Denver for a second-round pick, which was a steal because Dickie Post was done by 71. 6 months later, the Chargers sent that second-round pick which was a 72 pick, right? And then they sent another second-round pick in 73, plus a third-round pick to the Rams for Deacon Jones prior to the 72 season. So the Rams got 2 number 2s and a number 3 for a Deacon Jones who had seen his best days. He had a couple of years there in San Diego, and then he went in 74 and finished his career with George Allen in Washington. In fact, he kicked an extra point or a field goal or something. They made a big deal out of it. And but the Rams picked up in the 72 draft at number 30 overall. They picked up Jim Bertelsen, and yeah, he had a really nice run with the Rams. With the 31st overall pick in 73, this is second round in those days, they got Cullen Bryant. And then the third round pick they got was a guy named Tim Stokes, hung around with the Rams, could never crack the starting lineup, later got traded to the Redskins. But roughly you got Jim Bertelsen and Cullen Bryant for a used up Deacon Jones. And that was a really neat pre-Klosterman trade the Rams made. And Jim Bertelsen, unfortunately, is forgotten. He hurt his knee in 74. By 75, Capoletti had the job, and he hung around through 76. And I think he had another knee injury, and he was one of the final cuts going into 77. And by that time, in 77, the Rams had drafted Wendell Tyler, and there just was no room for him. You had Wendell Tyler, Capoletti, Colin Bryant, and McCutcheon, of course, and everything. And so the Rams moved on. Bertelsen's football career was over by the age of 26, and he passed away in May of 2021. Wanted to get that in there because Jim Bertelsen is kind of forgotten, and he had a really nice run for the Rams. All right, so 40 minutes in. Let's just see if there's any questions here, and then we will, we do got a couple of questions, and we'll go from there. Brian Smith, where is the fan of the cellar dweller Niners, Tommy Huxley? Okay. Hey, Tommy's a good dude. At least, I love having 49er fans here. Brian Smith, do we know why Alaric was suspended the first 2 games of last season? No, it remains a mystery. I was really upset about it because it was a contract year. And, bro, what are you doing? You worked really hard as an undrafted free agent to get yourself in this position, get yourself in a position to have a great, contract year to really make some money, and then you get suspended the first 2 games. So I was worried about him, but he really rallied, right? He had a really good year last year. 3 sacks all year he gave up. Tim Burns, you see Rams Wire mock draft. We move up to 19 and give 26 and 100 away to pick Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. Dead time material. Guy isn't even a top 6 tight end. Yeah, do they view him at the level that we view, they viewed Brock Bowers? Again, that's kind of high. That's kind of high for a tight end. And I wouldn't give up 2 first 100 picks for him. I just wouldn't. So, yeah, I think that's some desperate dead period material there, Mr. Burns. Brian Smith at Willie Bowen, do you have any questions? Let's see. Tim Burns, Peeps, RamCave, Tangent Dreams are badass. Read, get a copy. Get 10 copies. There you go. Brian Smith, thanks, Joe. Thank you for being here, Brian. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. Brian Smith, Bills need a new HC. That's a tough call because I think they've got the Chuck Knox of the 21st century, right? We know who Chuck Knox was for the Rams. We know who Chuck Knox was with the Bills and the Seahawks. Just could not get him over. And his spiritual son was Marty Schottenheimer, who the back half of the 80s through the 90s was the other guy who just couldn't get over the hump. And even fate worked against him when, was it McCree, the Chargers safety, picked off the pass that would have ended the Patriots Super Bowl run, and he fumbled the ball after picking it off, gave new life to Tom Brady, and that was it. I think were the Chargers 15-1 that year? Brutal. And so I think Sean McDermott is the ancestor or the descendant of both McVay and Schottenheimer. Not McVay, Knox and Schottenheimer. Forgive me for that. Let's see here. Brian Smith canned the center. Yeah, we all canned the center, right? That's why I played quarterback. The one thing that worries me about Aaron Rodgers, other than his age, is his record against the Niners. Not good. There's truth there. And again, I don't view Rodgers as a gamer. I view him as an eye roller. And when you roll your eyes, it's always somebody else's fault, right? It's always somebody else's fault. ESG, street clothes Boza. Yeah, he's a spiritual brother of Anthony Davis, right? Let's see. Willie Bowen, what's your opinion of Keenan Allen? I think he's a really great receiver, but he's old. Can he still do what he used to do, maybe better than Kupp? I don't know, maybe, but I don't really want to find out. I don't need to know these things, right? I don't need to know. If you're gonna move off of Kupp and get rid of that kind of money off your books, give me something in return. Give me something back, right? All right. Let's see. Brian Smith, Lockett is only effective with Russ Wilson. Hard no. I liked Lockett in Seattle. I think he's past his prime now, so no, I would not want him in LA. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. I see you hit a stone groove yesterday. All right, yeah, it was a stone groove. Let's see. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. The Rams need to get their head out of there. You know what? Quit being a tightwad organization. Pay Matthew Stafford what he wants. He led this team. Yeah, and we know the Rams aren't cheap. That's the part that's trying to figure. Again, I think it's what they're envisioning and the plans they've laid out for their salary cap projected going forward. because when they're not cheap, the Rams aren't cheap, and they take care of their players. But in this instance, I want to know, is the moment, right? Didn't Tyson say it? Everyone has a plan until they get hit, right? There was an argument, and I'm not talking about the not talking about politics here. I think it was either Colin Powell or Rumsfeld when he was being questioned. Did you think we were ready to go to war? Were you prepared to go to war? And these guys answered that says, you don't always go to war when you're prepared. You go to war when you have to. And so yeah, that's my thought on the Rams situation right here. They've got a plan for their salary cap going forward, and Stafford's contract upsets that apple cart, and they need to pivot from that, because I think they've become a Super Bowl contender sooner than even they thought, these home runs they've had. So that's my struggle there. Manny Correa on the air with us. What do you think about the late round guys I sent you? You know what, Matt? Manny, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to read those. I apologize for that. Keep sending them to me, though. Bill, Cam Ward off the field is constantly on podcasts, smoking weed, and surround himself with gangsters. Red flags everywhere. Is he really? I did not know that. Tim Burns, a group of Rams is also called a mob. I like that. We are the Joe T mob. Can you get that shirt made? The RamView mob? Paul Kistler. All right. I would be very cautious about hitching my wagon to Justin Fields. Yes. The sponsor of the show knows exactly what he's talking about. Steeler fan Rob thinks the sun sets and rises in Justin Fields' eyes. Justin Fields is a hard no. Ooh, go away, right? Justin Fields, if you want to use him as Cordell Stewart, turn him into Slash, beautiful. Justin Fields, if you want to bring him in maybe as a backup, all right. And then we'll get him on the field doing other things. We saw Justin Fields. We've seen him. It's not just the Bears. They lost to the Cowboys at home, okay? The Steelers did with Justin Fields before they pivoted to Russ Wilson. I saw Justin Fields play against Northwestern in the Big Ten Championship, and he was not terribly impressive. Great athlete. They say he's a good kid, awesome sauce, but no, stay away from Justin Fields. Let's see here. Willie Bowen, absolutely correct, Mike. There you go. Tim Burns, Kistler speaks facts. Hard no on Fields, Mr. Burns. Packers made proposal to eliminate the tush push. Yeah, I saw that. I learned to deal with it. That's how I feel. Tim Burns, crazy jumps in mock drafts already. Last week, Sanders was mid-20s. Yesterday, CBS had him as a number 1 overall pick or a number 2 top overall pick. Yeah, I've seen those things too. They swing a lot. And I think sometimes a crazy one is posted just to get people to respond and talk. Chris Childers, thank you for joining us. I don't think we've had you before, Chris. If we have, forgive me. You think Matthew Stafford is staying with the Rams, or is he going to go someplace else? My thought is he's going to stay. He's going to stay. I cannot believe the Rams, because he wants 50 rocks a year. I can't believe the Rams are in that situation where they're ready to pull the ripcord and say, let's just blow this whole thing up. They've come too far so fast and the right way that the opportunity is there to go to the Super Bowl. You're not going to do that with Jimmy G. You're not going to do that with Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to do it with Stetson Bennett. And so I think he is going to come back. And I think health over money, I think it was ESG or Bill that said that. He's going to get killed in some of these other places. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, I might do that for Tyler Warren. Would you really, Steve? That's the trading number 26 and number 100 for Tyler Warren. Manuel Correa, is Noah Loveland or Elijah Arroyo is better, but you can get Arroyo maybe on the 3rd day, maybe in the 4th round, maybe, possibly. Is that it? Tim Burns, I said it last year in preseason, give Xavier Smith 6 touches a game. He breaks 2 of them. I think he's the reason you're not going to see Tutu Atwell back, because he's going to be the burner, right? He's going to be the burner. And yes, I want touches for him. And that was the thing about Atwell that bugged me. I know, because I've won a Super Bowl before, but get him on the field just to make the defense think. You give him some snaps, right? I don't care if it's a running play. Just give him some snaps to make the defense think. And they really didn't utilize him at all. Tim Burns, can you imagine Colin Powell strolling up to the podium in a wig and dress? Oh, my gosh. Hey, you're killing me, Mr. Burns. Michael Negretti, Pastor Joe, put out this question. Whose side does the chat side with, Stafford or the Rams? I side with Matthew Stafford. I think for you guys, 50 rocks is not overpaying for a quarterback of his caliber nowadays. 55 is not overpaying. 60 is not overpaying for a Matthew Stafford given the quarterback market nowadays. Unfortunately, again, I think the Rams have locked into a salary cap game plan that maybe they're thinking, okay, this is how we hold on to some of our defensive players when their contracts come up. This is how we take care of Puka Nacua and we remain relevant going forward. But again, sometimes the plan gets blown up when the reality of the ground takes place, and there's just things you have to do. Hey, I've had great sermons preached or ready to preach where I've had to not preach them because the reality of the situation said, you know what, dump the message, let other people share something, right? There you go. Let's see, Manuel Correa. I think we get Jake Beck, TCU, or Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. Did you guys read Tim Burns' breakdown on Jake Beck? Check out Ram Notes on, I read it here, but check out Ram Notes on Mid-Valley Sports. Go to Pro Football, scroll down to some of the Ram Notes, and you'll read Tim Burns' breakdown on Jake Beck. Yeah, I like Jake Beck too. He sounds just like a Ram. Tim Burns, give Matthew his money up to 50, guarantee it, and go get a dang trophy. Okay, Manu Korea, yes. All right, guys, I think we're good. I better let you go. Michael Negretti, Aaron Rodgers is a drama queen. Yeah. All right, guys. I got to run. I got to let you guys go. So thank you for being patient with me not being on yesterday. I am going to come back tomorrow. The information might be a little weak because I used today's info and I used yesterday's info. So all I'm going to have is tomorrow's info. So I'm going to need you to be here at 5 to help encourage me. So check out a book. Check out From the RamCave. Thank you to Kistler Law for their support and everybody else. Thanks, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe. We will see you mañana. Mañana, I'm doing nada.